Martin from the Philippines. We're here in Real Talk Lifeline, going at you fresh with this live today. So people watching the live or the replay, if you could relate to the topic of the day, I'd love it if you could comment down below. Also share your personal experience, best lessons or advice that have helped you as well. It could help me and it might help someone else. So topic of the day is how to change. So what is this how to change? So what we're talking about is how to change on a more permanent or sustainable level. So what is this? How to change. Normally we hear lines like just do it. So it's like that Nike tagline, or someone would say, that meme, do it, just do it, by Shia LaBeouf. So funny, that is a half truth. So one thing I learned about Tony Robbins on how to change is if we do it by willpower only, it tends to not last. Like we will burn out. So what's the secret to make it more sustainable? So I'll share with you something I learned along the way. A very simple model or idea I learned called be, do, and have. So on the lowest level, just diving into it on how to change, the lowest level most people would say is, if I have first $1 million, then I can do the work, then I can do it, then I can become a millionaire, like that. So we all know that the truth is it's the other way around. So it's not the do is the halfway. So what is be? Be is actually a very deep identity level change. So what is this? How do we change or shift our identity? So here's a practical tip for me. I'm just checking some quick notes here. In my 36 years of experience in this world, one of the tips that no one really told me along the way is people will say, make a vision board, get role models, have someone to look up to, and then it will follow. My challenge was being exposed in the first place. When I was asked to make a vision board back in 2015, that behind me, my answer to my manager was, this was embarrassing. I don't have any dreams. So how can we be or have a vision of something if we have a vision of nothing? So the first practical tip I would share, just based on hard experience, is exposure. So how do we do that? So I'll share with you just recent experiences. One way of doing it is actually by changing our environment. So when I went to Iloilo, I was there away out of town for a week, August 4 to 11, so Friday to Friday. When I went to Iloilo, one of the guys I met there, young guy in his 20s, and then he's already done business and he's made 7 figures already, so established. He told me this, Martin, I love my parents, I love my dad, I love my mom. The thing is, I had to move out. So he moved out to a condo. Why? It's because the environment wasn't sustainable or it wasn't supportive anymore. Now, we love our parents, but can anyone relate that just staying in our house, our home, our room, which I believe is really common here in the Philippines or in Asian culture versus Western, like in the US, very different there. The thing is, we have a hard time growing. So thank you again, people watching the live. I appreciate all the support. We have a hard time growing if our environment is limiting. Sometimes our family, our friends, they have the best intentions, but it just doesn't help us grow or become, or allow us to fulfill our full potential or grow into the best version of ourselves. So the next is, if we can't necessarily uproot or change our environment at once, it's exposure to people. So what I did after Iloilo was, I went Monday, in that week already, for this August 9 to 11 event in Cebu. So Shangri-La Mactan, amazing, high level hotel resort area there, meeting big names, exposure. One namely Kenneth Cobonpue. I had no idea who he was. So I meet him because I'm part of the speakers liaison committee or team, and I was getting exposed to the other speakers aside from my assigned ones. So JC, thank you. I see you watching the live now. So what do I mean by exposure on how to change? So thank you. I love the support here in this live. Is when I met Kenneth Cobblepot over lunch and he was about to be a speaker later that day, I had no idea who he was. I thought he just looked like some low-key Crazy Rich Asians. Maybe he came out in a movie like that. When it was time for him to present, I was mind blown. So he's high level furniture designer. Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, they bought furniture from him. His furniture was featured in a Maroon 5 music video, Hollywood. He won awards, prestigious awards in Italy, etc. So my mind expanded and it blew up just by meeting that person. So environment doesn't necessarily mean you have to move out of your house, your place necessarily. I just went to a convention, the LifeCon, Life Insurance Convention, last August 9 to 11 in Cebu. So I just flew out to Cebu. I'm back in Manila, right? So that's another way to get to that identity level change. Last example on that is surrounding yourself with people. So I was with, as JC is watching this live, I was with a group of people. We had a coffee moment with Attorney Cabrera just yesterday, I believe. And then we were talking about estate planning, high-level ideas, servicing for clients, etc. like that. So when your circle, your inner circle, your mastermind, whatever you want to call it, the people you surround yourself with, Tony Robbins, when I attended his Date with Destiny seminar, he calls that platinum partnership. When the people you surround yourself with are at least millionaire level or higher, your identity will start to shift. So, cheesy example, I go to the gym and you're with Heidelin Diaz or, beast mode guys like that, working out real hard. The tendency is I'm gonna start to lift more weight and I won't even feel forced to do it. So your identity will start to shift. And that's a more permanent or sustainable solution versus just saying, just do it, force, grind, hustle, let's do this, do it, like that. So how I'm going to end this live, I'm going to read this line, and it's a comment on this video on identity shifting. So I'm going to sit down and read this one. It's a really good one. And it's how to get to that identity shift on a more sustainable and permanent level. So before I end this live, I'll read this line, this quote in the comments. So here it goes. That's exactly how I quit smoking. I prayed for 2 years for God to take away the desire for cigarettes. Then I listened to a podcast and decided to take that advice. I started visualizing that my tables were empty of ashtrays because I was a non-smoker. So I'll pause here. The person already is doing the identity shift, identifying as a non-smoker, not as a smoker. So I continue. I also started thanking God for taking away the desire instead of asking Him to. July 19, 2015. I woke up and had no desire to smoke. Been almost 8 years, and not only have I not had a smoke, but I haven't even craved one. So before I end this live on how to change, that line, you can rewind it when you watch the replay. Thank you, MJ, watching from Bulacan. So that's how you can change on a deep identity level. So again, you can rewind the live to that part because that line hit it on so many levels. The identity shift, the thanking already for it happening, the identity of being a non-smoker versus a smoker. So quick distinction is if you pray or your intention is, I don't want to be angry anymore, that's not gonna work. You're gonna laugh at me, but a lot of people are doing it that way, right? And I'm guilty of that. So when I started having the intention of healing my depression, instead of going, I don't want to be sad anymore, I just started counting my blessings. So again, rewinding that line, the identity shift on how to change on a deeper, real, and more sustainable level, it's all there. So people watching the live, if you still have questions, you want to go a little deeper, maybe you're like, hey, I missed a part there, type deep dive down below so we can brainstorm, help each other, help you get unstuck and break through. Thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.